All right, welcome everybody. This is the NSIN Propel Hawaii info session. Thank you all for taking some time today to learn a little bit more about the program and bring your questions to the table. We're really looking forward to sharing more about this great program. My name is Ryan Benitez. I am a partner at Decisive Point. Next slide. So NSIN Propel Hawaii is an accelerator program focused on accelerating commercial technologies for government and defense applications. We've built out a really great network of partners, both in Hawaii and from across the country, to help make this program a success. Today, you're going to hear from each of our partners, to include our primary DoD mission partner, the U.S. Pacific Fleet. You're going to hear from the National Security Innovation Network, and you're going to also hear from some previous NSIN Propel alumni that are going to share their experience about the program with everyone. Our goal here is really to find the best and brightest tech from across the country and determine how we can bring it in to the program to solve problems of our primary DoD mission partner and other government stakeholders. Next slide. So first, I'll talk a little bit about Decisive Point. We are operating this program for the National Security Innovation Network. This is the third iteration of this accelerator that we have done. We are a venture capital firm, and we invest in technologies across security, health, bio, and energy. And our team consists of former military servants, government servants, entrepreneurs, experts in venture capital, as well as, most importantly, senior acquisition experts that can help you understand how to get your technology through the R&D process, through the test and evaluation process, and into government. So we bring our whole team to the table to work with you throughout this program. We also bring our network of trusted private capital to the table for those companies that are interested in raising. So that's about us. First, I'm going to turn it over to our partner, to Abigail. She is the Venture Portfolio Director at NSIN, and she's going to talk a little bit about who NSIN is and their mission. So Abigail, over to you.
Thanks, Ryan. Hopefully you guys can all hear me okay. Hello, I'm based here in the DC area, and I'm really excited about this collaboration that we are doing with PAC Fleet and helping to work in the islands, not just here on the continental United States. So here at NSIN, we have a mission to build networks of innovators and problem solvers to generate new solutions to national security problems. All of our activities at NSIN, much like Propel, are focused on tapping into those communities of problem solvers who have been typically out of reach by the department. And this is based on a fundamental belief that we're in a complex, rapidly advancing world, and the rate of change and innovation within the department is not keeping pace with our adversaries. We believe that if we, the department, want to maintain resilience, leverage emerging technologies, and solve problems differently, then we need to incorporate new problem solvers. And we recognize that there exists many amazing talent and technology within our universities and communities, both inside the DC Beltway and far outside the Beltway. And we should make a much more deliberate effort to identify, assess, and accelerate access to those viable, feasible, and desirable solutions and the talent behind those solutions. We have a regional network team that's geographically spread across the United States, leveraging a hub and spoke model. We currently have 9 hubs and over 20 spoke locations. We offer programming to the Department of Defense via a portfolio structure, and our programs are built to provide support to the services and OSD for any problem across an incredibly broad spectrum, from the hyper tactical to policy and beyond. Propel is one of the programs that we offer within the venture portfolio, which is the portfolio exclusively focused on working with our DoD mission partners to source solutions from early to mid-stage ventures. In the last 6 years of existence, we've had tremendous success in bringing DoD problems to the non-traditional problem solvers. And as of today, we have brought just over 1,300 ventures into the National Security Innovation Base and engaged with another several hundred known vendors in the space. The companies who have participated in our programming, to include Propel, have gone on to secure just under $3 billion in DoD funding post-program and just under $9 billion in private capital. Next slide. Organizationally, NSIN is a Department of Defense organization. We align under the Defense Innovation Unit within the Department of Defense Research and Engineering. We officially became a program of record in FY20, and we deliver the programming to our mission partners at no cost, and it is something that we offer back out to the department. The journey that you all are embarking upon right now is just the beginning. Throughout the course of the program, which Joey, the program manager, will go into here momentarily, you'll receive a significant amount of support. The journey for those companies who are accepted into the cohort does not end there. We do offer continued support and guidance as you continue to navigate the journey in providing your solutions back out to the department. And with that, I thank you for your time here today and really look forward to what this cohort is able to do.
Thank you, Abigail. Next, I'm going to like to introduce Joe Orico. He's the program manager for NSIN Propel. Joe?
Great. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. I've been with NSIN a little over a year now, and I run the NSIN Propel program. I am also based out of the DC area. So what is Propel, right? As you see here, it is a commercial-based accelerator with DoD-focused curriculum that really does a couple things, right? So we partner with delivery service partners like Decisive Point to deliver programming on our behalf. Some of the big benefits of the program from what you see here, customer discovery opportunities for early stage ventures, right? I think this is a big one. We get a lot of positive feedback to this. Where participating companies really get virtual and actual in-person FaceTime with various DoD mission partners that we bring to bear. So you get an opportunity to understand what the problem sets are that are facing the warfighter. Benefits for the DoD is that they get access to market researching opportunities so they can better understand the kind of technologies that are out there within the commercial sector that are up and coming that may be able to help solve problems for the warfighter and or bring novel capabilities to the warfighter. Finally, a big benefit, networking opportunities for cohort companies, right? There'll be opportunities to meet venture capitalists. One of our big things that we do with the program is kind of trying to maximize exposure to various DoD stakeholders, right? That also have similar interests. We find that a lot of the DoD stakeholders and mission partners that we work with, a lot of them have very similar overlapping interests. So we feel that part of the the benefit of this program is that exposure is going to be absolutely essential to help set up companies for success through customer discovery, through understanding the use cases that are being brought to bear by folks within the DoD. And finally, you get to potentially partner with other ventures working in the same space, right? A lot of times these problems that the DoD have currently are complex. And so a lot of technologies may be a piece of the puzzle versus, through the cohort activities, there might be opportunities for you to work with other companies to help kind of complete the puzzle to create a holistic approach to solving a problem for the Department of Defense. Next slide, please. So some numbers here, since the program's inception in 2018, we've had over 128 alumni come through the program. Total awards is 129 total contract awards by NSIN Propel cohort companies. That number is growing every month. Total value of those contracts is 78, almost at $79 million at this point. We see SBIR, but we also see other contracting opportunities as well coming out of that help companies develop prototypes. We've had companies live fly their capabilities on real world assets. U2 is one that came out a couple of iterations ago, the U2 spy plane. So definitely great opportunities for exposure to DoD mission partners and contracting opportunities that will help you prototype and eventually hopefully bring your solution to bear to an actual end user. And then finally, a robust private capital opportunities. Propel alumni to date, since 2018, have raised over $224 million in private capital. We think this is crucial for companies to help give them the runway they need to further develop their solutions commercially. We want dual use capabilities, but also to enable them to continue to work with the federal government. Sometimes it does take a little bit extra time to do business with the DoD, and so that robust private capital helps companies give them the runway they need to be able to do business with the DoD. Next slide. And I think that's back to you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. All right, so next I'm going to talk a little bit about the program timeline. So right now, applications are open. They're going to remain open through January 6th. And you can access that application through our portal on Typeform. We'll provide a QR code at the end of the session, and we can also drop that link in the chat as well. The application, we encourage everyone to sit down, do it in one sitting. It's not an extensive application. It can take you about 30 minutes to 1 hour, but what you want to have ready is you want to do some research on whether it's on the internet or open source about PAC Fleet's mission and how you think your technology might tie into one of the focus areas. You're going to have ready some uploadable materials, whether that's a very clear and concise deck about the technology or a one-pager at least. So the application is very straightforward. It's a couple fill-in-the-blank questions and then that option to upload material at the end. We don't have a minimum requirement for that upload. The goal of that upload should be to clearly communicate how you are going to meet the focus areas, the impact to DoD, and that you also have a commercial traction or at least a plan. And so I'll go over the evaluation criteria here shortly, but however you feel you can communicate that through the content you upload is what you're going to want to do. So we'll get all the applications in by January 6th. The selection process will take place during the course of January. We'll notify everyone around mid-January whether you're moving on to the next round or not. The next round will be a pitch where you will get in front of a selection committee of DoD stakeholders, government stakeholders, and you'll be given 5 to 10 minutes to talk about your technology and for the experts to ask you questions. Some of them might be technical. And so for those that make it to that round, we'll provide the evaluation criteria and the instructions at that point. But that will also be a virtual selection event. And then the program will kick off February 15th, and it will run all the way through May 31st. We'll have a culminating event on May 25th. I want to take this time also because I received a lot of questions about, what is the nature of the program? What is the commitment? So it is a hybrid program. That means we offer most of the program virtually. So we expect participants to tune in to the sessions. There's going to be group sessions, and then there'll be one-on-one support with various mentors in our team. And that consists anywhere from about an hour and a half to 4 hours a week. It really depends on how much you want to put into the program and also how many perhaps tech interchange meetings you have lined up during that week. So it's a virtual program. We are planning some in-person events. The one mandatory in-person event will be that demo day, which will take place in Hawaii, beautiful, Oahu, and we will be providing a travel stipend to the teams for that. So that's the timeline of the program. Not on this slide also is what you receive after the program. So after you graduate and become part of the NSIN Propel alumni, we continue to work with you because working with the government and transitioning your technology isn't just a 4-month, let's go. It requires post support. So we continue to offer post support after the program to make sure that you're successful. Next slide. Okay, benefits. I already talked a little bit about the defense specific programming. We really get into the weeds with things like IP data rights, contract compliance. For the one-on-one support, we're going to meet your company where you're at in your journey. Some companies may be brand new to working with defense. Some may have already done a lot of work with defense. It really depends. And so that's where the one-on-one support comes in. We'll meet you where you're at and make sure that you have developed a strategy to either enter the defense market or continue to scale and transition your technology. And we have had companies at all different aspects of their journey. Some just graduating, our alumni, some just entering the defense market, others that are Series A companies, Series B companies with hundreds of employees, right? That, have not done any defense work. So it really varies, and we'll meet you where you're at. You're going to get a great access to a network of VCs. So if you are raising private capital, this is a great opportunity to access VCs that are interested in investing in this space. You don't have to be raising money to apply. It's not a part of the evaluation criteria. However, this is a great opportunity to use this as a platform to raise money. Tech interchange, we're going to bring together a lot of DoD stakeholders. This is another question I've asked. Yes, the PAC fleet is going to be very involved in providing some points of contact for tech interchange, but we have a whole network, and so does NSIN, of DoD stakeholders that we'll bring to the table. So if we see your technology is also relevant for the special forces or for the Army or perhaps the intelligence community, we'll also bring those stakeholders in to work with you. So a lot of different stakeholders. We will work to curate some test and evaluation opportunities for those technologies that are higher in their what we call technology readiness level. And those opportunities are meant to get you in front of the right stakeholders so you can demonstrate your tech. And I already talked about travel stipend to Hawaii to support your presence there at the demo day. Pictured here is one of our events that we had. It's a reverse pitch event where we actually had a number of DoD stakeholders come to New York City, talk about their needs, and then we had our founders get up and ask questions. Next slide. All right, eligibility. You do need to be a U.S. company to participate in this program, and you do need to be a small business and non-traditional defense contractor. So those definitions are there, and if you have any questions about those, you can put those in the chat and we'll get back to you. Next slide. All right, focus areas. The focus areas are quite broad, and that's done for a reason. We want to understand the art of the possible and what is state of the art out there in the commercial world. We want new approaches to these problem sets. So the first area that we've identified is contested logistics. How do you forward stage people, supplies? How do you keep track and maintain situational awareness of all of those moving parts in an environment where communications might be down? You might not have great command and control over everything that's going on in the environment. So thinking about how how we can be forward predictive and analytical about how we're staging logistics in a forward environment. The other focus area, autonomous systems. We are also really interested in decoys and buoys and wave gliders, right? And we want these solutions to be modular. We like companies to be willing to perhaps partner with another company to integrate an existing sensor technology or work on an effort together. So autonomous systems is the second focus area. Again, very interested in systems that can operate with less detection in a stealth manner. Networks and connectivity. This is the Pacific Fleet N6, bread and butter. But again, every system needs a secure network, needs secure connectivity. And we're also very interested in how do we leverage commercial satellite networks to maintain that connectivity in a robust way? How do we leverage commercial 5G solutions that are out there for our warfighting today. So networks and connectivity is the third focus area. And then disaster response. Think about any crisis situation where communications are important, power is important, understanding, the rapid response and working with partners, whether it is international partners and allies, or whether it's your first responder partners. What types of technologies can help facilitate an effective disaster response? So those are the four pretty broad focus areas there. Next slide. Okay, solution attributes. You don't have to have these as part of your solution, but these are things that might make your technology a bit more attractive to the reviewers, okay? The Pacific Fleet is a very operational end user, and so we need technologies that are ready to go within 1 to 3 years. Okay, so if you're only at the idea stage or concept stage, this may not be the right NSIN program for you. There might be other NSIN programs where you can start at. We are looking for fully established companies. We are looking for companies that either already have products on the market, already are building a prototype, are willing to perhaps work on a new prototype, but we need you to be ready to rapidly field your technology in 1 to 3 years. And again, I already talked about leveraging commercial infrastructure, satellite constellation, 5G networks, operating with smaller signatures, smaller swaps, making sense of publicly available information. So I won't read through all of these, but if you do know that your solution has one of these, or you know a way that you're willing to incorporate this, make sure you communicate that in your application, because these attributes are going to be attractive. Okay, next slide. Okay, evaluation criteria, pretty straightforward. Technical merit, the team, don't be afraid to brag. What is the technical expertise of your team? Do you have technical and business expertise to run your company? How are you aligning with the focus area? And then commercialization. What is your current commercial or defense traction? And what is a clear plan to achieve that? Next slide. Okay, so next I would like to bring up Captain Andre Wilson. Captain Wilson, are you on the line? Perhaps. All right. Richard Williams, are you available on the line?
Hi, Ryan. Yes, I am.
Hi.
Good morning. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thanks for joining. Would you mind just talking high level for a minute or two about PAC Fleet's mission and then the N6 mission?
Sure. Thank you. So Richard Williams, I'm the Commander Pacific Fleet N6 Technical Director supporting Admiral Paparo, who is the 4-star commander here in the Pacific Fleet. PAC Fleet's mission is to primarily support national interests in the Pacific theater, ensuring freedom of navigation, freedom of the seas, ensuring safety for our allies and partners throughout the Pacific region. We do offer tremendous support to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. We are able to provide support to any type of contingency operations in the Pacific and support our national mission objectives as well as those within our Pacific partners. Within the PAC Fleet N6, the PAC Fleet N6 is responsible for providing communications to not only internal to the fleet, but also to other of our naval platforms. So Pacific Fleet is located here on Oahu, but we have numbered fleets like Commander 3rd Fleet in the San Diego area, Commander 7th Fleet in Japan, and multiple commander task forces that support the Navy in the Pacific. And primarily we're responsible for command and control, communications, computers, intelligence systems, surveillance, and reconnaissance with data and interoperability within the U.S. Navy, the other service components like the Air Force, Army, and Marine Corps, and our allied partners within the region. So that's a really quick summary of PAC-Fleet and the N6 mission. Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Really appreciate that. I want to highlight, one thing that he said, and that was the interoperability piece. So where the N6 sits, it's very cross-functional. It's a very cross-functional mission, right? So with respect to the focus areas that we highlighted, ensuring that interoperability of communications, whether it's between autonomous systems or between allies and partners that are working on a disaster response, I think, really thinking about that interoperability piece is going to be really important for some of the companies in this program as they're building out their use cases. Is that right?
Yes, Ryan, that is correct. So we have a very diverse mission set, and you kind of stole some of my thunder in the previous slide, but those are some of the interesting technological research and development areas that we are interested in from the 6 and how we support our sailors and Marines out in the Pacific. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. And then I think lastly, let's go to the next slide. Okay. We're still waiting for our alumni to join the call. They'll be joining here shortly. But while we're waiting on them, and can we go back a slide? We'll keep it on PAC-Fleet for now. Great. So while we're waiting on our NSIN Propel alumni to join and talk about their experience and success stories, I wanted to address some of the questions that I received, and then I can also address some of the questions that we're getting in the chat as well. So one thing would be, a lot of folks are asking, am I a right fit for, how do I know that I'm a right fit for this program? So as I mentioned before, we have worked with startups that are a team of 3, and we have worked with companies that have several hundred people. You do need to be a small business and a non-traditional defense contractor. So if you meet those needs, then you are right for this program. We need companies for this program that can field their solutions within 1 to 3 years. So make sure whatever you're putting forth in that application, it's very clear that you're going to be able to do that. So I think, when you're thinking about, am I the right fit, consider that, consider if you're raising venture capital or not. The bandwidth, we make this a very founder friendly program. We know running a company is time intensive, right? So, the week to week is quite it's manageable. It will be a couple hours of your time. We do not have to have the CEO on the team. We like you to put forth your a strong team member that's going to commit to participating, but we do not need to have the CEO of the company at every session. So the bottom line is this is a founder friendly program, and that's why it spans over the course of several months, because week to week, it is a light lift. Another question that I've gotten revolves around funding, right? So is there a funding opportunity tied to this accelerator? So yes, you're going to receive the travel stipend. The answer is no. You're not going to automatically get funding by being in this program. You have to earn it, right? So if you're raising private capital, our team will do everything we can to put your best foot forward when you're talking to VCs. If you are wanting to capture government non-dilutive funding, we are going to do everything possible in our team to help you align that full value chain, right? From R&D to acquisition to test and evaluation, to put your best foot forward when you are having these tech interchange meetings. And as you saw with Propel by the Numbers, we've been very successful in helping teams that are in this program capture non-dilutive funding. So there is no guaranteed funding as a result of this program, but I can tell you that the companies that put their best foot forward and are willing to build the relationships, it does often pay off in some contract funding. So next, I see that our NSIN Propel alumni has just joined from Distributed Spectrum. I'd like to go to the next slide. Distributed Spectrum just recently wrapped up our most recent iteration of NSIN Propel in New York. And so I think it was who just joined from Distributed?
It's Alex. Yeah.
Hey, Alex, welcome. Thanks for joining today.
Yeah, it's great to see you.
Great. So we're just going to take about 5 minutes to talk about your experience with NSIN Propel and about Distributed. So could you just start off, introduce yourself, and tell us in 1 or 2 quick lines about your technology?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Alex. I'm the CEO of Distributed Spectrum. And from a very high level, we produce devices that give situational awareness in the radio spectrum to warfighters and everybody else that's interested.
Great. And can you talk a little bit about what stage was your company at when you entered into Propel?
Yeah, so we had done some business with the Department of Defense and government use cases before. And I would say that we had a pretty general understanding of, defense markets, defense problem sets, what people care about. We had done, some contracting on things like SBIRs and STTRs, but we were still at the point where there was a lot of uncertainty as far as achieving, a first champion customer within the Department of Defense, how we can actually take these initial R&D contracts and then make our company successful by transitioning those to higher contracts like phase 2s, even larger things. But yeah.
Great. Could you talk to me about what some of your highlights were from your participation, what you got out of the program?
Yeah, definitely. So I think there's 2 things that Propel really helped us with. So the first of these was essentially just making our company a better company at doing business with the Department of Defense. There's lots of things that we didn't know, like understanding how money flows around different departments, understanding, what different colors of money are, even figuring out like cybersecurity requirements and being able to sell software to the Department of Defense and, the whole can of worms that opens when you start dealing with that. So Propel was really cool because we got the opportunity to have guest speakers every week that kind of introduced us to different aspects of this, talked about different services and branches of the military, talked about different contracting pathways, talked about even, like lobbying for Congress and doing things like that. So it provided a pretty good slate of activities just on the business development and making us ready side. But the second piece that I think was probably most useful from Propel was introductions to stakeholders. So Propel was really cool because we got to go to a few in-person events and demonstration events that gave us the ability to actually showcase our technology to real defense stakeholders that would actually care about it. So for example, through this, we got, really good conversations with individuals from Department of Homeland Security, and also champions within the Air Force who are now pushing our technology through to sign MOUs or phase 2 SBIRs and other things like that. So having that stakeholder interaction is also, really, really critical just because it's so hard to actually access these people.
Great. Thanks, Alex. And can you talk about some of the relationships you built? I know you received some mentorship from some of the mentors we had in the program. They reviewed some of your materials and whatnot. Can you talk to whether that was helpful and how that worked?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously the Decisive Point team provided a lot of really, really good support to us and to the other Propel companies as we were going through the cohort. So having them, behind our back to kind of review our materials, look over a lot of the things that we were producing was extremely valuable to us. And secondly, we also got access to defense stakeholders who could similarly review those materials and provide that viewpoint to look over our demonstrations. So for example, for the final Propel demo day, where we were basically demonstrating a technical capability that we had to a variety of defense and government stakeholders. We had already had introductions to people through previous Propel events who were working within the Department of Defense and actually had operational experience. So we could go to them with our demo ahead of time and say, hey, here's what we have. How does this look? Are there things that we should change? What's unclear? What doesn't make sense to you? So through those feedback cycles before the actual final demo day, we were able to arrive at a much, much better demo than we would have ordinarily been able to do just on our own.
Okay, great. One last question. What would you say about, how did you manage running your company and participating in NSIN Propel? How much bandwidth, did it take?
Yeah, super, light technical lift as far as the level of engagement. The weekly info sessions were always very helpful, so it didn't even really feel like work. And then, we had to do stuff to prepare for a few in-person events, but that's all like positive business activities anyways, just because you're getting put in front of government stakeholders. So it was definitely, obviously significantly positive for us to prepare for these, develop materials that we would need to develop anyways. Like, for example, Decisive Point helped us out developing one-pagers, slide decks, proposals, all stuff that's useful for businesses that are doing business with the government. So
Great. One more thing, and then I'll let you go. Then we'll get to
Yeah.
Q&A. So you participated in some other NSIN programs before Propel, and you kind of built a path for yourself that then, ended with Propel when you had your product and you were ready to try some new use cases. Can you talk about the NSIN real quick, just touch on the NSIN programs that you participated in before Propel?
Yeah, definitely. So I think we can owe a lot of our success within the Department of Defense to NSIN. So the only reason we got into DoD markets and government use cases in the first place was through an NSIN hackathon, right when we were starting our company. So that kind of got our toes wet, got us our first little bit of funding into the company, which is really exciting. And then from there, we got mentorship from people that worked with NSIN to kind of help us take our fledgling startup into something that could actually be taken seriously within these defense contexts. Then from there, we did another NSIN accelerator that was designed for earlier stage teams that had previously participated in NSIN programs. And that was really helpful to, further develop us. And then I think Propel was a nice capstone to everything that allowed us to, develop a really good pathway forward towards taking our company from that stage of doing mostly just research and development activities to now like looking forward, how can we actually grow? So it was a pretty good transition for us just because it provided the support that we needed at each stage of our company.
Great. Thank you, Alex. Thanks for joining today. Really appreciate your time. And we're all looking forward to seeing your continued success following your completion of NSIN Propel. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. And I hope everybody listening on the call applies. So have a good one, everyone.
Great. Thanks. All right. Next slide. Okay. So Q&A time. Real quick, the QR code there is for the application portal. The application portal can also be found on NSIN's website and Decisive Point's website. And so please reach out if you have questions. Another email that is not up on there is propel@ensign.mil as well. So I'm going to answer a couple of questions now with the time remaining. I'll get to as many as I can, and then we can send out Q&A following this via email to hit some of the questions we didn't get to. So what is the typical TRL? We're gonna, I've received some of these in chat, so if we could just keep everyone on mute, that would be great. So what is the typical TRL for entrance in the cohort? So TRL level, again, I think, we're looking for something that is already probably at a TRL 5 and ready for some iteration, ready for prototyping, and hopefully a test and evaluation by the end of this program. So if you're at a TRL, 1, 2, or 3, you may be too low. If you're at a concept stage or, that's going to be too low for this. We need technology that can be easily integrated and ready to go. Okay. Are graduates of NSIN Foundry cohorts eligible for participation in Propel? Absolutely. If you've participated in other NSIN programming, you're more than welcome to apply to NSIN Propel. Each NSIN program has a different flavor to it. And so I think, depending on where you're at, there's a program that's right for you. All right. I guess I'll open up to other questions here in the chat. Or if anyone has verbal questions, they can go ahead and ask them. Okay, I see one. If a company has successfully completed a SBIR phase 2, yes, you're a reasonable participant for Propel. One thing, that we try to do, if you've already completed a phase 2, there's still a lot more to go from there, right? You still have to start building the relationships with the right program managers. You have to start working towards making that funding available in future years towards a plan to test and evaluate that technology. So if you've won a phase 2, that's completely fine. Please apply to the program.
Hi, good afternoon. How you doing? My name is Croker Durrani, and
Hi,
I'm
Croker.
at phase 4. but it's the only problem I have is I'm the only person.
Okay. So phase 4, so I'm not sure what you mean by phase 4.
It's already for productivity. It's made for productivity
Oh,
already.
for TRL 4. If you
Yes.
have if you're a one-person team and you feel like you have a technology that, you know, can be readily prototyped in the next couple months, then, you know, you should feel free to apply. Okay.
Okay.
Next question, will you be sending the presentation slides? We will be, I believe NSIN will be posting this recording with the slides on their YouTube channel. And so we can follow up with that, with the link to that recording after the session. Okay, what is the historical acceptance rate for applications? So we will be selecting a cohort of 10 companies. I will tell you that in the past, we receive upwards of over 100 applications. So this is a very competitive process, takes some time to be thoughtful. At the end of the day, the selection is going to come down to the DoD stakeholders and whether they see a pathway and use case to deploy your technology. If you're not accepted, there's a lot of other programs that we're also going to encourage you to apply for, and we will definitely keep up those communications. Okay. Our MOUs support letters from Hawaii-based DHS agencies. So letters of support are not part of the evaluation criteria. I would say if you choose to, you know, put those in your deck to convey as a way to communicate that you have commercial and defense traction, feel free to do that. But we aren't going to be counting the numbers of letters or MOUs that you've received. But if you want to copy and paste that and put it in your slide as evidence of your defense or commercialization, then we're happy to take that into consideration for that evaluation criteria. All right. I can't see everyone's hands raised, but I do see one from Bogdan. Bogdan?
Hi, Ryan. Aloha.
Hi,
I have a
good to
question.
hear from you.
Yeah, we have a prototype antenna, deployable antenna. We think that fits in the 5G, but it's for satellites. We would like to test it on ground to see if people are interested. I think TRL is 5 to 6. Would there be something that we can go for? It's going to be rapid development. We're working with a university partner too from Florida, so we're not fully Hawaii based.
Yes, I would recommend. I would highly recommend that you apply. I think that could be a relevant application, and you're going to want to include in the application how you might want to test. If you have an earlier TRL, you might want to clearly articulate how you plan to test and evaluate so you can demonstrate to our DoD stakeholders that the technology is viable. Okay, Thomas Humans.
Hi, how's it going? Much appreciate the presentation here. Thomas Humans with Roman Aerospace. Just a quick question. Would you have any idea when the potential follow-on interview and question and answer session with the DoD stakeholders may take place?
Yes, it's going to be, I believe it's going to be the third week in January. I think we're looking at the 26th, 27th, but that's all tentative right now, but plan for the end of January. It will be a virtual event.
Cool, copy that. Thank you so much.
All right, I think we are nearing the end of our time. I want to thank everyone for joining today. Again, if you have unanswered questions still, please, it's really hard to get to everyone's questions. So please feel free to, we've taken a copy of everything that's in the chat. We'll try to get those answered. And you can also direct questions to propel@decisivepoint.com, propel@ensign.mil, and through the application. I would say, if you're not sure if the program's right for you, apply and let us decide, right? Again, all stages of companies are welcome, startups just getting to market, and then also larger companies that have already done some work, because our goal and number one mission here is to meet the needs of our DoD mission partner, the U.S. Pacific Fleet N6. So again, thank you all for your time. I can't wait to see these applications. NSIN Propel is a really great opportunity, regardless of where you're at in your defense journey. So please apply, and thanks again. Take care.